Hi guys, welcome back to another timeless reading. This is filmed on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. Pulling from the Golden Foil Tarot cards. I bought mine personally off of AliExpress. I can only speak from the one I got from Ali, but amazing deck, great quality. The cards are slippery. I don't mind a slippery card. They do go flinging out of my hand, but... So we have the Wheel of Fortune. Was the first card I felt like pulling from, but I pulled the Three of Swords in reverse. So, moving forward motion, we're building up to Lionsgate Portal. Retrograde, some people are saying the 11th, some people are saying the 15th. I'm going by the 15th. That was the first date I saw. Some people are saying the 11th, but I feel like they're saying transformative. So, I feel like, that's saying, it's much like a garden. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know for sure if the garden's going to bloom. We have no idea, right? You sit there, you put the hard work in, the dedication, do weeding. Like, that's what I did. Like, I've got some frustrating things going on in life, and I'm just like, this is this. And, just pulling it out, all these weeds out. And, it's just been hot to the point where it's like you go out there, it's like you will... you definitely need water breaks and everything like that. So that's what I did. Pulled for an hour, took a break, came back in. I got a good sized garden. But it's just like, I was pulling weeds and I had planted radishes for my mom. And I'm like, those look like potatoes. I was about to pull it. And I'm like, those look like potatoes. I'm like, oh my gosh, those are the radishes. So I'm going to, next year, there's a rule in the Torah. And you go by what resonates with you. But they're saying, every 7 years you take a break from the garden. So I calculated when I had the garden before, took 1 year off there, and then the 7 years is coming up. So, like the 2027, which is going to be the year that Shane transformed, 10 years. It's just like, you know what I mean? I feel like that will be a transformative year for myself. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's also like showing like your faith in like, you know what I mean? This is where I always say, people are like, I'm not seeing change in this area. I'm not seeing change in something either. But I'm making those changes. I'm sitting there and it's like, it's Summerween right now. And I love Halloween. I love skulls. I love all the spooky stuff. But I know that I can't go berserk, you know what I mean? Because there's responsibilities and there's things I'd like to take care of, I took care of one this year. Yahweh Yeshua blessed me with that blessing. You know what I mean? It's taken care of. Now I'm working on the next one. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself, but I get frustrated. I can only work so much. You know what I mean? And it's just like, putting your best foot forward, and sometimes, it feels like it's not doing anything. But it's like we don't see what's going on under the surface. We don't see what's to come. I was lucky enough to see an eagle in the sky again for the second weekend in a row, and it's just like, I really have been missing my dad and Shane the past couple of days, and it's just like, or the past week, and it's just like, you know what I mean? So that's the thing with grief. It's just like, the people that mean the most to you, and it's like they get you, your energy, your vibe, you guys just love each other, and it's just like you wish those are the people you had around you, more. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Just do them proud. That's all we can do. Feel your feelings, but do them proud and keep moving forward. I feel like that's where the Three of Swords is coming in. It's just like sometimes those things will come up, but we've gone through the healing, and I feel like you always will be healing. As you grow, as you change. This is what I'm talking about, the cards being slick, but, it is what it is. It's just like, keep putting your best foot forward. Keep doing what resonates with you. Keep, putting your energy into people, places, things that you thrive and grow, and, you have the most fun. That's what life is all about, is about living. You will be successful. You will be successful as you move forward. You will be successful in this healing. Just because you have a day where you feel a certain way, you're allowed to feel those feelings. It's not going to define the rest of your life if you don't allow it. I definitely made that decision when I was, I didn't decorate the tree that year. And I had promised Shane, I will do everything I can. He wasn't a spiritual man. He believed there was something higher. But he didn't read the Torah or the Bible or anything, and that's fine. He was a good person, and you know, I can't remember what I was going to say. But anyway, it's just like, don't let things hold you back. Don't let certain situations hold you back. Like, yeah, I could sit there and say, oh, it ain't worth it. No matter what I do, I'm not going to get ahead. No matter what I do, you know, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you have to have that belief system. You know what I mean? Especially when you're someone that is like myself that posts online. There are going to be negative comments, and the more popular you grow, the more those are going to come. There are going to be people that have opinions. They'll want you to change and transform according to what they want. And it's like, the reason people fell in love with you because you're authentic. People, especially on TikTok, they could sniff out fake, phony people. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you keep doing what got you to there in the first place, where your heart is, what you believe in, and that's what's going to carry you through. Because people are always going to have an opinion. If they want to follow that kind of account, they could go find someone else. Yeah, it sucks to lose a follower. You may lose 10 followers. You may lose 100 followers. But the people that are there, that love and support you, will be there for the right reasons. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I respect what you're saying, but you know what? Especially with, they were talking about when I was posting, like, I post videos. Thank you. That, my son said, bless you. That, resonate with myself. And I'm like, this will probably resonate with a lot of people that follow me. You know what I mean? Because we're all here for enlightenment. We're all here for positivity. We're all here. Like, yeah, not every single day is going to be a great day. And sometimes when you're in a healing journey or you're on a spiritual journey, it's like, not every day is going to be peachy. Not every situation, you know, we're going to go through some things. You know what I mean? And it's just, the thing is that we've learned from the past is that that time does not define us. We're going to keep pushing forward. You know what I mean? So just keep pushing forward. You're going to be successful in this, you know? It's where you put your energy. You grow where you put your energy. You give up now, you'll never know where you were supposed to bloom. Look what we were posting last week about, I think I lost the card, but I'll have to check after. I want to knock the tripod over. Talking about, we don't know what's around the corner. You know? Jeff Probst said that on Survivor. You know, there was a trans... I don't know if it was the first, because some people don't, you know, share that information. They had shared that with someone in confidence, and they try to weaponize it. And, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, they were talking about how, like, you know, because people, you know, they feel like they're in prison in their body. And they wanted to hurt themselves. So, he was just like, you never know. Jeff Probst was like, you never know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? It's just like, just when we feel like giving up, and it's like, sometimes we do feel that way. You know what I mean? Because sometimes this journey can be a lot. This world can be a lot. You know? We can just do the best we can. We're going through a rebirth. So that's why everything is feeling probably out of sorts. Or it's just like there's a lot of moving pieces going on. There's a lot of change going on. We're in retrograde. You know, retrograde is clearing the people, places, and things in this new beginning as you move forward that can no longer come with you. Everything's moving in a forward motion. You know, even with the Three of Swords, even though it looks dire, but it's just like, you know what? We're choosing, even though we've gone through this situation, we're transmuting the energy and we're going to put it into something positive. Because you know, they were talking about that with the retrograde. You need rest. This was a very, they're saying energy absorbing, but I feel like energy sucking. I just feel like there's a lot of change. Like, I definitely felt mentally drained and a change that's going on. I know it's not going to be forever, but I know, like, you know what I mean? It's like getting more with things, getting more, you know, caught up with the patterns of things. So it's just like, you just keep going. You know what I mean? Even if you can't see your way forward, it's just like, you know, keep moving forward. That's all we can do. Your burdens are lessening. I feel like you shouldn't take anything on more either, especially at this time. So you saw with myself, we're sold out for August. If that changes, like I said, if there's a cancellation or so, and I'm the type of person, I don't take a deposit. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I know other people are different, but with me, I have to answer to God at the end of the day. So I know sometimes things don't work out. Maybe a trip happens, they overextend themselves, or maybe something comes up and they need that money to go somewhere else. So I don't take a deposit. I'm like, I'm starting to read for you right now. Send the money right now. They'll send the money. I go. You know what I mean? So if anything happens between there, and there's some openings. I'll post the dates that are openings. But besides that, I can't. I'm fully booked. Like they said, gotta fill your own cup. Let the universe fill your cup. I saw an eagle today, which is like a symbol of my dad. So I was grateful for that. I try to take as many pictures as possible. It's an eagle, big wingspan. Obviously doesn't really transition over to the camera, but it's just like, let the universe fill your cup. Don't forget to fill your cup. If you need to rest, rest. And I know sometimes, even with myself, I used to sit there and nag myself. It's like, you didn't get this done today. And it's like, I am doing my level best. Sometimes I could get 100 things done, and I feel like I didn't get a single thing done today, that day. It's just, you do your best. That's all we can do. And by the grace of Yahweh and Yeshua, we have tomorrow, and we could try again tomorrow. That's all we can do. I used to beat myself up about it, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, you're only one person. You can only do so many things. You know what I mean? We can only do what is possible. You know what I mean? And I get that way. I'm just like, you know what? It's like, I should be doing more. I should figure this out. And sometimes it's just like, it's the circumstance. You know, I feel like everybody feels financially frustrated. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, you're trying to get ahead. You're trying to put money away. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. And it's just like, you know, I wish they would lower the cost of groceries. Gas has come down, so it should transition over to groceries. You know what I mean? They're sitting there like, oh, well, your minimum wage is higher. Well, then, you know what? If you decrease the cost of everything, you could decrease the cost of living, the minimum wage. We don't need to be making as much as we are if we're able to afford the things that we used to. You know, when butter wasn't $6 a brick, you know? Some of you are probably like, $6? That's a bargain. They're showing the 401, so celebrations. So, that like right now, Canada is having, like, it's called something different everywhere. So in New Brunswick, it's New Brunswick Day. So it's just like, you know, a celebration. It's also, you know, the markings of engagements, of marriages. This is the knocking of going on vacation, coming back from vacation. You know what I mean? Retrograde. People coming back into your life. Transitioning is what they're saying. So there's a transition going on. You know, I feel like, honestly, I feel like this retrograde was people, places, things. We had a lot of passings before retrograde and during retrograde. We had a lot of passings. You know what I mean? There's a lot of world events going on. There was that huge earthquake, 8.8 earthquake that happened in Russia. And I'm sitting there watching this guy on vacation in Hawaii, and we're watching the waves. And they kept pulling out. And you're watching other channels to see what's going on. And it's just like, I was like, please don't let anything happen. You know what I mean? Poor Texas just got freaking hit really, really hard. You know? But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I know, it's like, if you feel those things affect you, try to stay away from them. You know what I mean? If you feel like that you're just like, ugh, this is not where I need to be. This is not what I need to hear. This is not the vibe. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes we love people, but it's like you need to distance yourself for a bit. You know what I mean? Because it's not where you want to be. King of Pentacles. Concentrating on your money. Remember, this is cornucopia season. So it's like, this is where we can make changes, where it's just like, yes, it's spooky season. You know what I mean? But it's just like, at the same time, where they said with cornucopia, they're like, you're having more money come in, but you can't go crazy. You're having more money coming in, but you know what I mean? There's like, you know, I know with myself, the boys have to go get their eyes tested. I pay for insurance, so they're covered. You know what I mean? By grace of God, we have insurance. You know what I mean? But it's just like, okay, now I got to pay for 2 eye prescriptions. You know what I mean? School's coming back, so we got stuff to, you know, like books and programs and stuff like that to do. You know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like everybody understands that. Everybody's getting ready for that. You know what I mean? So it's just like sitting there, and it's, you know, embracing and taking, you know, that increase in life. But sitting there and keeping it. I feel like this is going to be used, like they're saying nest egg, but I feel like this is going, you may need it. You know what I mean? With us, we have 7 months of winter and where we live. So it's just like, I know that hydro is this much. There's an increase in hydro. We got to stay warm. Basement needs to be heated. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there's that change in there. So it's just like where you can make changes. So maybe like, you know, maybe it is switching. Maybe you've been with, like in Canada, we have Rogers, Bell, Shaw. I feel like there's more, TELUS is more popular out west. It's just like, making the change where you could save more money. Nobody uses the home phone. Nobody's using cable. Why are we paying for all those things? You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to decrease my internet. I'm like, well, can I decrease it? They're like, no, only if you bundle. I'm like, well, what do I have to bundle? I'm like, I got this and this. And they're like, no, we won't bundle those. They're like, you have to get a home phone and cable, and your bill's going to increase another, $11 before. I'm like, I'm trying to decrease my bill, not increase it. You know what I mean? It's just like, sometimes it does feel frustrating. You're trying to sit there and cut back, and it's like, well, we're trying to live a quality of life too. You know what I mean? So that's why we work extra hours. It's just like, I know for myself, I have to have a certain internet. I have a VPN and stuff like that. I know I have to sit there and have a quality of size of internet. I film all the time. The kids are freaking posting online. The kids are doing stop motion and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there's a level of internet that we need. I was talking about this. Death card. Change and transformation. Because you're going in a forward motion. Some people don't want to move forward. Some people just like to stay. It's like, I was talking about, like, after, there was that Christmas there, I didn't feel like decorating the tree. You know what I mean? I just was just like, whoa. And I'm just like, I can't do that. Christmas is a magical time. You know what I mean? Of wonder. I feel like, I don't care how old you are, it's like, Christmas movies and getting together, and you know what I mean? It's just that magical time. Having the Christmas tree up, it just does something to you. It's just that wonder that's there. You know what I mean? So it's like, put the tree up. Decorate. Let the kids decorate it. You don't feel like let the kids do it that year. You know what I mean? It's just like, that is a sense of wonder. That is a sense of family. That is like, a tradition that you know what I mean? Another moving forward card. They're saying 3 weeks time, so kind of makes sense with the 15th. Six of Swords. Even though this is an emotional situation, we're moving forward. It is an emotional situation because sometimes, I love this girl on TikTok, and another girl posted the same thing. They're like, don't tell me this person that was said in my life was supposed to be a lesson. You know what I mean? It's just like, because you really, have a lot of, you know what I mean, and admiration for this person. And it's like, they were just there for a season and a reason. And you're just like, damn. You know what I mean? It's just, people, places, things. I feel like it's emotional. It's water energy. It's water energy. It's emotional energy. You know what I mean? These elements are what make up the tarot. And they're, you know what I mean? They're grounding yourself with the wands, with fire. They're drying up those emotions. It's like feel what you're feeling. Like with myself, I said, like, I'm in Missing Chain. I've been, today, last weekend we saw the eagle. This weekend we saw the eagle. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how beautiful and wondrous is that? I haven't been seeing a lot of eagles lately, and it's like, look, there's a sign of, when you you know what I mean? Anyone that has lost someone close to them, that really meant the world to them, and it's just like, that you're able to see, still have. I was talking with my neighbor, and a big dragonfly. She must think I'm nuts, but I'm like, oh my god, this is the first dragonfly I've seen. Like, I haven't seen bumblebees. I saw 2 bumblebees today. We don't live by water, and there was a frog or a toad in the driveway. I was just like, what is that? Because I was doing yard work, and I put the flashlight on because, nighttime the dog goes to the bathroom, you got to pick it up. And, it was a toad, and I'm like, damn, like, we used to live in an area that had a ditch, and, it would fill up, and we'd get ducks in the front and stuff like that, or 2 places we had like that. But you know what I mean? It's just, or when the snow would melt. Queen of Cups. It's like, you can't let your cup go dry because a lot of people depend on you. We were talking about this last time. It's like, people come to you because they know they can trust you, for one. 2, they know it's safe. And you will give them proper advice. You're not there to hurt them or hinder them. You know what I mean? It's like, you give them sound advice. So it's like, we don't listen to it. I was talking to my bestie, and I'm just like, girl, you need rest. I'm like, take it easy. She had to be somewhere at 5 in the morning. I'm like, girl, I hope you're getting off at 1. She's like, no, I got to get this done. I'm like, girl, come on, you need a rest. I'm like, this is why you're always napping on your days off, because you're freaking tired, man. I'm like, you got to make sure you're doing things for you. And she's like, isn't that the pot kettle and the kettle black? She's like, you work this many hours extra on Sunday. And they just increased their hours too. I'll find out tomorrow. But look at, we won't take that one because that's more of like lawyers. So maybe lawyers are coming and watch your speed levels. People love to give out tickets. Meet that quota. So it feels like maybe it's like, I don't feel like you're sick of life or you feel stagnant. I just feel like it's just like you're like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we need to go to, like, when we're where we were before. Nothing wrong with it. We always, I loved the fact that it was like, you know, we were only 5 minutes away from the beach. I love the fact that it was just like, you know, you could hear the tree frogs. That is my favorite, is to hear the frogs come out in the spring and stuff like that. But, you know what I mean? It's just like, I did not want to plant my flag there because it's like, I know I wanted more. And I know as a mom, and I'm or a parent, or guardian, whomever you are, when you have kids, you want to be in a certain distance to certain things. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, when you get older, everybody's driving and stuff like that. That's one thing. But me, I'm very thankful for everywhere that we lived when the kids were small. Like, when we lived in Toronto, it's like, you know, there was a walk-in clinic, there was a post office, there was groceries. Like, I could sit there and do those things and get it done. So Shane didn't have to spend one of his days off doing it. You know what I mean? Like, with us as a family. It's like you could sit there and rest on your days off so you can woosah and recharge and, you know, go back to work on Monday, and it's like you actually got the rest you needed. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're able to get those chores done, and I know sometimes you can't, I understand that, but if you're able to get those done, not on your days off, you know what I mean? Your days off, that's exactly what it should be. You know, we have Easter, not Easter, but, well, Easter Sunday they're bringing up, but, you know, you have Sundays, you know, family dinners, you know, it should just be that. The weekend should be like, you know what, you fend for yourself. You want to eat, unless you feel like cooking, you know what I mean? But it's just like, everybody needs rest. Everybody. But I feel like with the Four of Cups, it's just like something is coming here. This is why we're clearing people, places, things. Maybe that's why you're feeling such deep emotion, such deep connection. There's a lot of energies going on around in this world. You know? It's just like, something's coming here. I feel like this is going to be the end of, like, battles. Verbal, physical, I hope it's not physical, but verbal battles, stress. I feel like the Hermit is here to say, like, you know, there's things, just like the Garden, there's things going on underneath the surface that you cannot see. So your dreams may be very vivid. You know what I mean? So pay attention to your dreams. Signs. You know what I mean? I'm like, I haven't seen bumblebees. There's bumblebees. I literally said, I'm like, please, let this be like, I was so fried because we were so busy and back to back, which is like, I'm thankful for because I have a job. But at the same time, I'm like, please just, like, you know, my brain just needs a rest. You know what I mean? It's just, sometimes it's a little much. You know what I mean? And it's just like, watch for those signs, you know what I mean? Or, I can't remember what I was thinking of, but I was just like, coincidence or something. I'm like, no, that's Yahweh Yeshua. You know? I have a strong faith base. It doesn't mean you have to believe in the same thing I do. As long as even if it's your higher self, believing in something, having to put your faith in something that you could just sit there and trust and believe in. You know? Because sometimes, you know, life be beating us down. You know? Sometimes it's just like, we need a nap. Sometimes that's all we need is a nap. So this fall, this winter, when you're able to nap and you sit there and you're like, damn, I've been, because you were going through it during the summer, the spring. Like, you know, gardening, I love gardening. I love being out there. I love seeing, like, you know, planting things, nurturing them, seeing them grow. But you get to a point with the heat and the work, it's just like, damn, is this over yet? You know what I mean? Ace of Pentacles. And Pentacles is grounding energy. It could be wisdom. It could be love. It could be money. It's going to be something that's going to sit there and ground you in your situation. You know? It's just, keep on believing. Universe got your back. Your loved ones got your back. You know? There we go. The Sun. It's all not for nothing. This has not been for nothing. Has not been in vain. You're working hard. You're being seen by people, heard by people. You know, people are believing in you. You know what I mean? People need you. You know? We need more people to bring positivity in this world. I am so thankful to the people that sit there and they film, like, you know, short little videos. You know what I mean? And it's them doing a TikTok trend. You know, and it doesn't go perfectly, and, you know, they mess up, and it's like, you laugh. It's like a blooper, you know? But you laugh because you're like, exactly, that's exactly what I would have done in that. I would have fell on my face or something like that. You know what I mean? But it's authentic. It's real. And it makes you laugh. Like, God bless Katie Vansley, that, you know, shares her farm with us, and you know what I mean, and all of her goatees. I live vicariously through her. You know what I mean? It's like that's a lot of darn work. All those babies, and you know what I mean, finding them homes and stuff like that is just that's a lot of work, you know. But we also got to realize like that's a snippet of everybody's life, and not to give people a hard time. You know, she has people trespassing on her property. It's not a zoo. You know, like she said, if you're not welcome there, leave her alone. Or else the videos are going to stop. Or maybe she'll just up and pick up her farm and move somewhere else and we won't get anything. You know, when I'm having a poopy day and I get to see that, I get to see your Lebanon Sprout or someone like that, it puts a smile on my face. I'm like, dang, like what a beautiful life. Damn, she's blessed. God bless her. Keep blessing her. You know, she's a good person. You know, at the end of the day, she's still a human. You know, thank God for Justin and his family. You know, they went through a horrible loss. You know, they lost a child, and they're still on there making us laugh. You know. Oh my gosh, what's her name? I can't remember her. She's going through a melanoma journey, but I love her family, and she's so real. I love a homeschooling mama. I'm a homeschooling mama, and you know we're judged and we're ripped apart. Oh, you know, you're this, you're that, and it's like, you know what? Unless you walked in my shoes and been through the journeys that I have with my kids, you know, and to protect my babies, I'm going to follow my mother bear instincts, because I've listened to authorities twice and went against what I believed in my heart of hearts, and it almost was not good. You know what I mean? And, you know, and I had someone say this will never happen because that's made them feel better because they weren't doing their job. And I'm just like, you know what? You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. My children went through this journey of, you know, their father transitioning, and they need someone to talk to besides me, because it's good to hear from someone else than their mom that it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's effed up what happened, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of life to live. You know what I mean? And not to follow in those footsteps. Doing the things that, you know, contributed to that, you know. And they worry about that, you know. And I'm like, you know, you're thankfully, by the grace of God, you know, your papa is this age. Your uncle's this age, your aunt is this age, so, you know, our aunts are these ages. It's like, you know what I mean? You can't always blame the, you know, genetics. Sometimes it's what we do to ourselves, you know? You can't sit there and be like, oh, who, me? It's like, we gotta hold ourselves accountable. You look at the facts of the situation, the facts are the facts. You're a grown-ass person making grown-ass decisions. Don't sit there and be like, oh, who, me? When it bites you in the ass. You know, or say things into the universe you shouldn't be saying, you know. So just keep moving forward. I know you're tired. I know you're exhausted. I wish, by the grace of Yahweh and Yeshua, I was a genie and I could give everybody the amount of money they needed so they can sit there and live their best life, you know. But unfortunately, this life here, we gotta work hard. Some of us get handed things to us. I know people time and time again and get blessed upon blessed, and they don't really, you know what I mean? They don't appreciate. But, you know, I feel like those people that gotta work harder for it will appreciate it more and will make it last. It will not slip through their fingers, because they will make sure when they get it, like that 4 of Cups coming up in here, you know, that's what it's leading to. Something you've been asking for is coming. You know, I hope and pray it's a financial blessing, because a lot of us have been going through it. And remember, you know, when you were going through it too once upon a time. So if you're able to sit there, you know, even if it's $5, $10, $1, help pay it forward. You know what I mean? Even right now, you know, I know people that have been looking for jobs for a long time. You know, it's not a good fit, you know? Just be thankful you're not in those shoes, like, you know, not wondering how you're going to do things. So, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's all you can do at the end of the day. We didn't, you know, some things just happen. All you can do is sit there and keep putting, you know, take whatever you have left over and keep moving forward and build around it. You know, that's all you can do. And you're strong. You know, these things that come in, yeah, they suck, but keep moving forward. You know what I mean? I know some days are harder than others, but you just keep moving forward. You know, and it's not always like that. Be thankful for the days that you don't feel that way. Be thankful for the days that you feel like you're a millionaire, even though, you know, maybe you got $1 left in your account. But it's like so many other things in your life, your spirituality, your children, you know, just your fur baby, whatever it is, puts a smile on your face, and it's just like, I may not have that kind of money, but I am grateful for everything that exists in my life at this moment. And in this moment, I feel free. In this moment, I feel happy. You know, live for those moments. You know, that's what life is about, is to sit there and live and be happy. You know, and sometimes we gotta grind through it. You know, a lot of people are saying, "Be a G, man. You may not be the best job, but you know they're getting sparser and sparser. Jobs that you used to be able to sit there and drop like at the drop of a hat and have 10, 12 more lined up." This girl was saying she was a security guard job. Everybody needs a security guard at certain places, and she's just like, I used to have like 10, 12 lined up, 16 lined up. She would have the pick of the litter. Nobody's hiring. So, you know what I mean? It's just like, remember the things we prayed for. We're enjoying them now. You know, they may be, I feel like that's where this Four of Cups is coming in. You know, it's just like, you know, things that you used to enjoy, you're not enjoying them anymore. So this is where this kind of energy, retrograde or, you know, Lionsgate portal, it's the first of the month, you know, doing your salt and cinnamon ceremonies and calling things in. It's because we're trying to sit there and change things. We are inviting the universe to come in. They see we're frustrated with certain situations. It's like, come in here and help me out here. You know, this is what I'm asking for with no harm to none, including myself. Can you help bring this in? You know? And one thing I keep getting reminded of, they'll show like in a biblical sense. If you don't want to hear that, that's fine. But there was like how long Daniel waited, how long Abraham waited, how long Moses waited, how long, you know, Jacob. If I'm repeating people, I'm sorry. I can't remember everybody. But it's like, you know, they waited too. You know? They waited so long, and then it was in God's timing. Yahweh Yeshua's timing. Gaia, Mother Earth, whomever you believe in, your higher self. You know, sometimes it's just like we have to grind, because when we get it, we're just like, we are appreciative. You know? Some people try to make it, you know, unbearable, but it's like, you know, it's just, don't lower yourself. Keep pushing yourself to the higher levels, you know, and be grateful when you transition to the next thing. Because this is what you prayed for, you know? The one voiceover that the person got mad at, you know, they're like, don't get mad when you ask for change and then you're afraid of getting your feet muddy. Because sometimes we got to work for it. You wanted the change, but it's like there's a little, you know, there's a little something with it. Don't move during a retrograde or the first of the month of the new year. People are too hungover to help you. You know what I mean? Just keep doing the best you can. So I hope you enjoyed this timeless reading. May the universe bless you good.